There's been lots of transportation news in Massachusetts in recent weeks. The State Department of Transportation recently completed its study of I-91 in the region, a report that was years in the making. Among the findings there, it's unlikely that I-91 in Springfield will be placed underground, and the state has taken the next step toward an in-depth study of west to east rail service in Massachusetts. I asked Tim Brennan, Executive Director of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, what's behind the timing now?
Getting a contract in place between MassDOT and the consultant. They've identified a preferred consultant. They're negotiating to get a contract. They won't reveal, which is standard operating practice. And once the contract is set,
they won't reveal specifically who's going to do
right.
the
but
proposal.
They will once that contract is set. Then the contractor gets a notice to proceed. There's an 18-month timeline on it. My guess is we're probably a month or two out before we would get at that announcement, and then the work would begin to flow. Probably 3 months after that, 4 months, there'd be the first work group meeting.
Wow. So probably within the next 6 months, we'll have some news about the status of what's going on and some of the findings, maybe even?
They want to try to get a findings report out within a year. So probably by the end of 2019, if they are able to stick with that timeline, you'd be seeing the report.
And is this sooner than expected in your mind, or is it about on track with what you expected?
About on track. Nothing unusual. Pretty much MassDOT honored their promise, was to try to get quickly out of the state rail plan, which was last March, into this rail study. So I think they've done a good job in terms of moving it along.
And obviously, you know, we know where current rail line exists. We know where some of the gaps are. But what do you expect to see out of an actual tangible product for this report?
Well, it's going to be complicated because, as the spokeswoman pointed out at the meeting, it has 6 alternatives. Each of the alternatives is sort of, it's not like easy slide from one alternative to the next. There's a high-speed piece in, there's running trains to Springfield, and then occasional trains out to Pittsfield.
That was a bit of a surprise, right? The Pittsfield piece, or maybe a happy addition. There was some concern that maybe that wouldn't get done in this round.
I think what happened there was the state heard a lot of advocacy out of the Berkshires to be looked at if there was going to be another study, and they honored that. Similar example was Palmer has always wanted to stop, and it was really iffy of whether they were going to get one, and it looks like they're going to be looked at in terms of that option as well.
In terms of assessing those 6 different options, do you have any sense of anything that's jumping out to you as one that you think, or 2 that you think, these are more viable than those others?
Well, actually, it was a previous study that we were very much enamored with that came out in June of 16 and talked about a traditional rail connection, Boston, Worcester, Springfield, Hartford, New Haven. And the reason for that is the ridership, because it goes through all those metro areas and sort of connects 2 barbells, as I see it, Boston and New York City. And you want riders to make a rail system viable. What I've advocated, and it sounds like they may look at it, is at least one of those 6 alternatives is to not throw away the heading south piece, which I think will ultimately make a lot of sense in terms of feasibility. More riders you have, more fares you have, the less expensive it is for public monies to make it happen.
And would the argument against adding in that southern link be, oh, it's going to slow it down, and overall you kind of want to keep the train trip from here to Boston under what you would do in a car? Yes,
true. But part of the thing that I think we tried to talk about last time was you can go from Springfield to Boston in a car in about an hour and a half if the car is moving.
Yeah, right. If you're not in bottleneck traffic or construction traffic.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I count on oftentimes 3 hours now because you can go so far and then you sort of hit a wall and you crawl the rest of the way. If you're on a train, first of all, you're released from driving. And then if you get things like high bandwidth and Wi-Fi on the train, you can work on the train. So in
And
today's...
then you don't have to pay for parking in Boston.
Amen.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of features, and again, we're not working in this sort of atypical, people don't always work 9 to 5, they don't work 5 days a week. Lots of people will work out of their home and commute occasionally to metro centers. So in any event, I hope that we can get a rail alternative that could be done within a reasonable amount of time.
So another piece of transportation news that came out recently is the Mass Department of Transportation finished its long talked about, long work group, long studied report of I-91 and what it would like to see happen there. So perhaps not a surprise, but a piece of news that came out is that 91 coming through Springfield will not be put underground. Is it merely a dollars and cents decision there?
Yes, I think it is. They looked at 2 sunken alternatives, so-called, and these weren't complete tunnels, by the way. Each of them have a price tag over $3 billion. Then there was another alternative, super elevated, you completely rebuild at overgrade, and that had a price tag of around 3.1 billion. Excuse me, I got to keep that B in the equation. And so they gravitated back to a rebuild. As we would know it now, it would need a lot more work in the next iteration because a lot of structural work would have to be done as well. And that has a price tag of $695 million.
Keeping the highway as is was controversial when it first came out because it divided communities here in downtown Springfield. In your mind, is this just another example of Boston gets something? You know, the Big Dig obviously was a massive transportation project that took large portions and put it underground. Boston gets things that Western Mass doesn't?
Well, there's some of that. That was absolutely true during the Big Dig era. We saw our fortunes and amount of monies plummet. And it got to the point after the media sort of pushed out the actual cost of the dig, all kinds of things happened. The feds capped the amount of money. They insisted a certain amount of money had to flow out to the rest of the Commonwealth. The legislature followed suit. So we've been in recovery mode for all that time. Having said that, what also happened with that delay, lots more projects backed up behind us. And we just have a huge amount of backlog that the price tags are just incredible.
Yeah, as it is, looking at not only the Springfield piece of this, but also then fixing some ports of I-91 in Longmeadow and some other gridlock areas in Agawam. We're talking about over an $800 million price tag. And also it looks like, as the report said, it'll be portioned out over 10 or 12 years as reported by Mass Live.
That's actually the pieces that we think, I'm talking from the planning perspective and planning commission perspective, those projects are worthy projects and could be done over the next 15 to 20 years, and they would make a difference. We've always wanted to, technical words, straighten out the spaghetti down the South End Bridge. There's a lot of safety problems, capacity problems, lane drops, and we think all that could be sorted out. Plus, being able to go cross river with a bikeway facility to connect one side to the other. So we're hopeful that we can really focus on those projects, phase them over time to make the bite financially a little bit more modest. And 25, 30 years from now will come viaduct, whatever new one we imagine at that point.